Affirmative. 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 Acknowledged. Affirmative. 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 Acknowledged. Reporting. Affirmative. Comrade. Acknowledged. 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 Reporting. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Lost.
Agreed. Affirmative. Very well. Reporting. Acknowledged.
Lost.
Acknowledged. Affirmative. Awaiting orders. Affirmative. 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 Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Comrade. Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Unit lost.
Acknowledged. Affirmative. Waiting for affirmative. Acknowledged. 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 Affirmative. Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. 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 Awaiting or acknowledged. Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Acknowledged.
Mission accomplished.
You have been busy, comrade. I am to present you with this Soviet star in recognition of your efforts in keeping the Allied dogs from completing development of their new toys. You have done well, my friend. Yet, too well. Soon you will have this drafty corner office, and I will have to start worrying about my own job.
Reinforcements have arrived.
Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Reinforcements have arrived.
Ready and waiting. At once. Reporting. Acknowledged. Ready and waiting. Affirmative. Awaiting orders. Very well. Affirmative.
Yes, sir.
Acknowledged.
Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Yes, sir. Affirmative. At once. Acknowledged. Agreed. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Agreed. Reporting. Agreed. Yes, sir. At once. Affirmative. Very well. Reporting. Affirmative.
Mission saved.
At once. Very well. Agreed. Very well. Affirmative. At once. At once. Agreed. Affirmative. 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 At once. At once. Agreed.
Unit lost.
Agreed. Yes, sir.
Unit lost. Unit lost. Mission loaded.
Yes, sir. Affirmative. Affirmative.
Reporting. Affirmative. 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 Agreed. Affirmative. Very well. At once. Very well. Affirmative. Agreed. Affirmative. Affirmative. At once. At once. Very well. Affirmative. 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 Agreed. Affirmative.
Engineering.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged.
Affirmative.
Reporting at
Lost.
once.
Mission loaded.
Agreed. Yes, sir. Affirmative. At once. At once. Very well. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Very well. Very well. Very well.
Mission saved.
Engineering. Affirmative.
Ready and waiting. At once.
Engineering. Affirmative.
Reporting. Very well. Affirmative. Agreed. Very well. Affirmative. 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 Agreed. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Very well. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Agreed.
Mission saved.
Of course. Ready and waiting. Of course.
Unit lost. Mission loaded.
Very well. Acknowledged. Agreed. Yes, sir. Very well. Affirmative. Agreed. Affirmative. 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 Agreed. Very well. At once. At once. Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Engineering. Affirmative.
Yes, sir. Very well. Affirmative. Affirmative.
Mission saved.
At once.
Yes, sir. Affirmative. Affirmative. Affirmative.
Ready and affirmative. At once. Agreed. Agreed. Very well. Affirmative. Affirmative. Agreed. Waiting order. Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Comrade, affirmative.
Ready and wait. At once. At once. Very well. Of course. Very well. Very well.
Unit lost.
Affirmative.
Mission loaded.
Affirmative. Affirmative.
Yes, sir. Affirmative. Affirmative.
Yes, sir. Affirmative. Agreed. At once. Ready and waiting. At once. Very well. At once. At once. Affirmative. Very well. Affirmative. 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 Very well. Yes, sir.
Lost.
At once.
Unit lost.
Affirmative.
Mission loaded.
Very well. Ready and wait. Affirmative. Very well. Agreed. Very well. At once. Affirmative. Affirmative. At once. Agreed. At once. Affirmative. Affirmative. At once. At once. Yes, sir. Waiting order. Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Unit lost. Mission loaded.
Ready and waiting. Reporting. At once.
Waiting order. Acknowledged. 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 Acknowledged.
Engineering. Affirmative.
Yes, sir. Affirmative. Acknowledged. 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 Affirmative. Affirmative.